Woo, 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 woo. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. What a wild ride. What a wild week. So, welcome to another live with Esoteric Nexus of Liminal Horizons. I am Whitney, and we will soon be joined by my lovely husband. Braden is out of town right now, so he won't be able to make it. Surprise! But I am pretty excited to dive into tonight's topic. Braden and I both read the Tibetan Book of the Dead. But since he's not here, I'm going to give you an overview of the book. And then when hubby gets here, we'll talk about our beliefs, understanding, feelings around death. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here, Judy, Isabel. Woo, 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 woo. All right, let's get into it. So tonight we're diving into the most profound topic there is, death. Not as something to fear, though, but as something to understand, to hold with curiosity, and maybe even reverence. What do you think of when you hear death? You know, when the death tarot card is pulled, it has a stigma around it. It's scary. But what's wild is that's the one thing that we all have in common. We will all die one day. So before we go too much further, I shared a documentary in the group. Some of you are getting off work right now. Some of you might not have seen it yet, but I came across this documentary called End Game. Not the movie that you're familiar with. It's a documentary, and it's like 40 minutes long. I would highly encourage you to go watch it. It's on Netflix if you can. Gorgeous documentary, beautifully done. In there, one of the doctors said, healthy people think about how they want to die, and sick people are thinking about constantly how they want to live. It kind of captures the, oh my goodness, I'm losing the words. The bipolarness, the polarization, oh my goodness. It's two opposite ends of the spectrum. If you're constantly thinking about how you want to live, you're obsessing over how you will prevent death. And that's impossible. But thinking about how you want to die, that can be an unhealthy obsession as well, but it comes from a much more healthier perspective. I feel like paradox, that's the word I'm looking for. It really captures the paradox. We spend so much time avoiding the idea of death, and yet it comes close, and we suddenly learn what it really means to live. Before we go into the overview of the Book of Death, I want to contemplate how the Tibetan views of death differ from what we've been taught in the Western culture. So much of the Western or Christian perspective of death is seen as a single moment. I feel like that is how it's most commonly portrayed, death. You're alive one moment, and then the next you've already crossed over. You live, you die, your soul moves on. It's either to heaven or hell or somewhere in between, depending on your faith or actions. And there's a lot of comfort in the simplicity of that idea, that death is a doorway that swings one way, instantly placing you where you're meant to be. But in Tibetan Buddhism, it's so much more complex. Death isn't just a moment, it's a process, a continuation of consciousness. And the Bardo Thoral, or the Tibetan Book of Death, describes this journey through stages of awareness. And those stages of awareness are called the bardos. And each one reveals layers and layers and opportunities. It's different layers of the mind and different opportunities in each stage for liberation. So when death begins, the physical body shuts down, but the mind, your consciousness, it moves through realms of experience. And those realms aren't physical places like heaven or hell, but states of being created by your actions, through your fears, from those you work through them and you reach clarity. The first stage is the moment of dying itself. The first stage is the moment of dying itself. It's where the clear light, and I interpret that as, the light that you see, the white light, and that's the pathway through which you reach liberation, enlightenment. The pure essence of mind appears. And if the soul recognizes it, so meaning if you're aware and at peace. So, yeah, we'll just keep going. There's so many things I want to say. But if you are aware and you recognize that you have died and you're at peace with the fact that you have died, then you move forward. And you get the liberation, you get the clarity, you get the peace, and you move on. But if you don't, which is usually that moment where, like in a movie, you're looking at your body and you're still coming to terms with what's happening. Like, am I dead? And you're struggling with it, then you move on to different visions. There's a different color of light. There's different deities, different pictures, illusions, if you will be reflected back to you. And it's your own inner world. It's your own mind, your own consciousness is projecting these illusions to you. And eventually, after passing through these stages, the consciousness seeks rebirth. You're born again. And it's drawn by karma and desire to another life form, another experience. So in this view, death isn't the end. It's part of a larger cycle of awareness and awakening. And in the West, we might pray for someone's soul to be at peace, but in Tibet, they guide the consciousness of the departed, reading to them for days after death to help guide the soul to recognize that it is passed on and that you are where you need to be. They guide you through death. There's these beautiful, beautiful ritualistic practices that take place. So nothing has gone the way that it was supposed to go today. I was going to be doing this with Braden, and then I was going to be doing this with my husband. and I'm not. So I'm just like stuck in between. Do I continue going on with the Book of the Dead overview or talking about death? But I have it framed so that I can continue talking about the Book of Death. So I will prompt this question to you and tell me how you feel. What if death isn't something to fear, but something that teaches us how to live more intentionally? And how has the awareness of morality shaped your choices or priorities? In my own personal experience and understanding, I grew up Mormon, so the idea of death and the fear of the sins preventing me from reaching heaven was a interesting hurdle to overcome. But as I left Mormonism and I learned about all these different practices, all these different faiths and religions and perspectives around death, the one that really sinks in the most is we are one. So upon death, we return to oneness. And even reading through the Tibetan Book of the Dead, you can really, really see where Timothy Leary was coming from when he brought that movement forward. And there were lots of other psychologists that have also read the Tibetan Book of the Dead and came away with the same feeling and belief. It's an interconnectedness. And I feel kind of like how sex ed is pretty hush-hush, and the tabooness around it. I feel like death also has that around it as well. Talking about death is, or talking about somebody's death, or contemplating your own death. It's not common talk. And I don't know. I have had some very personal experiences with death. I've given CPR to a neighbor. I have been able to withstand the stress and be in the moment of somebody dying and being that calm presence for everyone else. I've been to a couple funerals, but I have not had an experience with someone really close to me passing that I knew really well. And that is coming in my life. You know, I am 33. I am getting up there, and it's coming. And my father has had many conversations about his death coming and preparations and what he would like done, going over will talk. And I feel like those moments are really hard. They're really hard to have. It's tough to face the reality that nobody's permanent in your life, that you won't have that person forever, or contemplating your friends, family members, your children, that illusion of control that we can prevent bad things happening to the people that we love. And death is a bad thing to happen. It's not looked at as a positive thing. So reframing that, I feel like, brings a little bit more peace. It makes it a little bit more chewable to handle, to look at. Um, and it's changing. I feel like people are having these conversations more often. A lot is shifting. I am frustrated that it is not as structured as I would prefer. So how does acknowledging the reality of our own death, not as a distant fear, but as an inevitable truth, change the way that we live right now? If we move throughout the day knowing that, that today could be the last day, that this interaction could be the last interaction I have with someone, how does that change the way that you show up? When I feel like it's stopping, it's meditating for a little bit. One thing that me and my husband do that I really enjoy is before we go to different places, whether it's the house, somewhere else, the grocery store, if we separate, we kiss each other. And we've had the conversation that if something happens, I want this to be, and this is the last interaction that we have, I want it to be something I'm not going to regret. I showed love to the person that I adore, and I told him I love him, and that's going to be the last thing that I remember of them. And when he leaves the house, instead of just brushing it off, oh yeah, he's leaving, he'll come back real quick, it makes me pause. He's leaving. There could be that possibility. I want to take the moment and appreciate him and make it something that I won't regret. If these are the last moments with him, then it won't be something that I regret. That feels like a morbid way to put it, but I feel like it makes me show up in a different manner, and I like that. Words feel hard today. The Bardo Thodol, or the Book of the Dead, describes death as a journey through illusions created by our own mind. What do you think that says about how much of our suffering in life or in death comes from within? I had a quote. Don't know what I did with it. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. Find the quote, Whitney. It's a quote from that documentary Endgame. You guys should really go watch it. It's gorgeous. Not gorgeous in like color, but like the substance in the documentary is absolutely beautiful. I don't feel like I put it here. I don't think I did. Suffering in your mind. Oh man, I wish I could remember who said it. It was gorgeous, though. Suffering is inevitable, and oh, there it is. There it is, right in front of me. In the documentary, someone said, I like to think of suffering as a gap, like a wedge. The gap between the world that you want and the world that you have. So if you come to terms with the suffering or the pain or whatever that you are enduring, then you're not fretting and stressing over what you wish it was. It makes it easier, less painful. The Book of the Dead, as you read through it, the first 7 days, okay, so as someone is on the brink of death, they are surrounded by loved ones, by gurus, religious teachers, not a bunch, but the prominent figures in each of those situations, and they are sung to. They are told that they are dying, that they are crossing over, and it's nothing to be scared of, and they're right there with them. And then moving through the death and the process as they are physically shutting down and dying, they are still kept company, and they are still talking to them, and they are still singing to them. They are present with them, and they are guiding that consciousness, that person, that soul through death. And I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. The thought, I don't know about you, but when I think about death and what it would feel like, it's something you do alone. It's your consciousness. It's happening to you. It's not a shared experience. You're not feeling it of somebody else. And that makes it a little bit more scary. There's nothing to hold on to. There's no turning back from it. You don't get to just pause it and stop. So having somebody next to you when you're going through that process, talking to you through that process, whether you can hear it or not, it's believed that the consciousness can still hear it. It's still understanding it. They will sit and talk with them. They will read the Book of the Dead to them for 49 days. It is believed that it takes 49 days for the soul to be reincarnated into another, and whatever they become, for their rebirth. Their rebirth takes 49 days. It's just, I haven't ever heard of death being treated like that. It's just I've understood it as a process that a person dies. There are different rituals and practices around what happens when they die. And then afterwards, they're buried. There's different views and practices around that as well. But it's like a 3-day, 5-day process tops. So for it to go on for 49 days it makes, I don't know. I just feel so much love that somebody would sit with another person for that long and guide their soul onward. So how much does suffering in life or in death come from within? It's all in the mind. So when your consciousness moves on and you are just pure consciousness, in the Book of the Dead, it says that you are fighting your own reflections. You're not fighting them, but as you wake up, as you pass over, as your physical body dies and you're coming to terms with what happened, they're reading to you so that hopefully when you do make that transition and your physical body dies and you are just consciousness and you lose your physical form, you're not freaking out. There's no wondering what happened. They're guiding you through. So as you come to, in your thought form, you are guided. But whether that's registering or whether you're still fighting how you died or what you left behind materialistically or people, you're resisting what's happening, and you're trying to cling to your physical body, which is gone now. And that in itself creates a suffering. And when in the book it describes like when you're resisting it and you're suffering like that, you're doing it to yourself. So a frustrated thought form consciousness without a physical body is going to what? If you were a physical body, you might fidget, but without a physical body, your mind is just going different places. And so the Book of the Dead says that you will have these things come up, and you are guided to keep thinking about your guru, your guides, your hold fast to your religious practices, hold fast to your deities, whatever deity. In each phase of the bardo has a different deity that it brings up, that it calls to, and it tells you to meditate on that while you're in your thought form. And that would help prevent the suffering of these illusions that your mind is bringing up in frustration. And that just makes a whole lot of sense to me, that your mind is doing this to you. So it's all about letting go. And in the Book of the Dead, in the teachings, it says that liberation comes from recognizing the clear light, the true nature of the mind, the consciousness, instead of clinging to your fears, to your desires. So what would letting go mean if you in your own life, to you in your own life or in your healing journey? In the documentary Endgame, one of the ladies in there was tasked to make friends with death. And the doctor sent her home, and then she was going to come back for her next appointment however long later. And obviously the documentary is talking about people, or is depicting people who are in their last moments. They are figuring out if they want to be in a hospital, if they want to be in hospice, or if they want to be at home. And this lady came back and she said that you sent me home with homework to make friends with death. And I'm telling you, I failed. I love life too much. I can't make friends with death. And watching her facial expressions, listening to the doctor explain to her what he meant, it just feels surreal. I can understand how, I can empathize with how she would feel. I feel like I'm still using the wrong words. But if you were sick and you were on death's door and you had a couple more weeks to live and you were walking and talking and you were making your own plans about what you wanted to do and how you wanted to die, and your doctor told you he wants you to go home and make friends with death, that sounds terrifying. It's like, I want you to go home and come to peace with the fact that you're going to die. And if I'm being honest, if she was being honest, and she was being honest, I can't. I love life. I love what I built. I worked really hard, and I feel like that's where some of the resistance would come from. We've spent so much time here in this physical body, perfecting, if you will, living being happy, balancing your work life and your home life and friends and all of this, and then all of a sudden it ends. It's going to end. You just need to come to terms with the fact that it's going to end. I've built up so much. I have such high quality friends. I have all these materialistic things that I worked real hard for. The whole collection of these ones. And you just want me to just let it go? So he told her that he wanted her to at least get acquainted with death. And you can just see in her face how much she's fighting it, resisting it. And you can tell me to do whatever you want, but my mind's just not going to wrap itself around it. I don't want to. I love life. I don't want to look at death like that. And I don't know what I would do if I worked in a place like that. There are death doulas. They exist. I thought about becoming a death doula. I am fascinated with the reverence and the beauty that is found in death, in something so taboo to talk about, something so scary, something that's not talked about. And everybody else calls it scary and ugly and is trying to avoid it at all costs. And there's beauty in it. People find beauty in it. And I find that awe-inspiring. Absolutely awe-inspiring. Letting go of the physical. I feel like the Tibetan Book of the Dead as a read is also a wonderful inspiration on how to live your life preparing for death. To keep it in mind and thinking about how you want your life to be lived. And, there's that song, Live Like You Were Dying. I feel like it's even with vampires, the whole hype about vampires in all the movies and all the books, all the vampires are sad and they're lonely. And they love the idea of humans because their life is short. Dogs, their lives are short. That makes it so much more potent, so much more oomph. Just life is short and it's supposed to be short, and that is what gives it meaning. What you do with it. How much you love in the time that you're allotted here on this plane. How many people will you interact with? How many people have you loved? Have you told that you loved? Death gives meaning to life. So with having 41 or 49 days of guiding the dead, guiding one's consciousness through to the process of rebirth, how might that translate into the way that we hold space for those who are grieving or nearing death today? Death is messy. It is visceral. It is raw. It is honest. There's no hiding what happens in death. And I believe that a lot of that is what makes it terrifying. When someone is grieving, I feel like I talked about this on the live at another point. When a woman is grieving, most people will go up to her and and console her. But when a man's grieving, it's scary. Men aren't supposed to grieve. Men aren't supposed to cry. How dare you show so much emotion? In death, it's the same. There is so much raw emotion. So I truly believe that thinking about death and how you're going to show up for your own death, for other people's deaths, could really prepare you mentally to find calm and peace for someone else, for yourself. Becoming acquainted with death, if you will, if you can become friends with death at the end of it and be that at peace with it, that'd be great. But showing up for those who are grieving and just allowing that person to hold space for that person to just be as raw as they are, to grieve as I would hope, as you would hope somebody would allow you the same space to grieve. There's so much that's held back when we're angry. When we're angry, we want to scream, we want to cuss, we want to break things, we just want to set things on fire and go wild, but you can't because that's frowned upon. People get upset when you hit things. It makes people feel uncomfortable to see someone feeling so much of an emotion. And in the same way, when it comes to grief, there's so much that you're feeling. So many things are going through your body, sensations, thoughts, impulses. You want to cry, you want to scream, you want to laugh, you want to cry. And it's to hold space for somebody who is grieving like that, to understand that, or to admit that you have no idea how it feels. I have no idea what it feels like to lose somebody that close to you. But I'll sit with you. I'll sit with you while you are just screaming, laughing, crying, and just be there for somebody. The thought of being with somebody while they're dying, that's terrifying. You're aching inside, watching them lose mobility. You grieve what they're losing. You feel bad for the people in their life who's also going to be sad that they're dying. That's terrifying. That's so much. That's so many emotions to feel, so many ways to be interconnected with someone else. It's so much empathy to give. That's just a wave of feeling and emotions. But if you were dying, I sure hope somebody would sit next to you through that awkwardness. As your body is spasming, as you lose control of some of your other functions. That's an awkward thing to think about. It'd be an awkward thing to witness. But could you? Would you want someone next to you so you didn't have to go through that alone as your body is slowly shutting down? God, it's just such a heavy, heavy, heavy feeling. But these contemplations, these thoughts, I believe need to be thought. They need to be spoken to one another. these are realities that we will have to face at some point. You'll be on one of the ends, on the receiving end or witnessing it. Oh, so what would change in your life if you viewed death, but not as an end, but as a transition, another doorway into the soul's evolution? If we are talking the process of rebirth, or that even as you die, that's not it. You are transitioning through different realizations of where you're at. Your soul is coming to terms with the fact that it doesn't have a physical body anymore. And you are wrapping your mind around being a thought body. As soon as you think it, it's there. As soon as you think the negative things, they're there. As soon as you think the positive things, you feel them. They're there. And that would be terrifying. Anything that you think, instantaneously just appearing, happening. And finding a way to keep a focus as you are guided. And if you aren't guided, what would change in your life if you viewed death not as an end, but as another doorway to the soul's evolution? That, to me, means that perspective is so important. If I can't handle the stress of feeling overwhelmed and I am not making improvements on it, then by the time my death comes and my soul makes that transition, I will still probably really struggle to grasp the fact that I now have no physical body and I am just a thought body. It feels so much more important to find a connection to life, to my kids, to the people that I interact with, the people that do me wrong. It feels so much more important in order to transition from a thought body into liberation, if you will. In the one of the funny things in the it's not funny, but expression, if you will, in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, as you are working through each transition, you encounter different illusions, you encounter different colors, you are moving through light and sound, not darkness. Why do you think so many cultures portray death as something dark and frightening? That is a good question. What do you think? Why do so many cultures still portray death as something grim and frightening? It was very different from what I read, what I see, what is portrayed in social media and everything. The creation, that feels like the wrong word too. When you're in the womb, it's dark. So returning to the womb should be dark. Returning to what creates everything is dark. It's pitch black. There is no light. There is no sound. There is no anything. And it's like a black blanket that just envelops you. That was my previous depiction of death that I had in my mind from the things that I had read. And experiencing heaven, you see light, you see angels, you see people, and you'll have everything that you ever wanted. There's so many physical things that are portrayed in the visions of heaven. And most of them are all wrapped around having a physical body. And using physical body senses to interact with heaven. So to read the Tibetan Book of the Dead and reframe all these previous thoughts and beliefs through the perspective of having just a thought body is way different. And I finished reading that book yesterday, so I'm still wrapping my mind around it and adding it on top of my other feelings and beliefs around death. So how can we prepare for our own passing? Emotionally, spiritually, even practically, without doing it in an obsessive or fearful manner. Not from a place of fear. Not obsessing over the fine little details of all the things that you just have no control over. When I was in basic training, there was an exercise, and the drill sergeant asked us to write our own will. And they would hold on to it. And they would give it back to us at the end of basic training. I don't know if you've ever done a practice like that, but I would highly encourage you to try it out and do it from a place of love. For sure. It can be a gloomy topic. It can be saddening. And if it is overwhelming for you to think about, then I would skip out on it. But I would at least contemplate it. I've had friends and I've known people who have passed without having written a will. And it is helpful to have something written down to guide the people that you leave behind. I have a lot of beliefs and feelings around funerals from my experience, which really puts a little bit more importance on having a will. But if we're just talking about mentally making it through, witnessing, experiencing, and contemplating it, it would be something I would encourage you guys to do. So before we wrap up and end tonight, because I don't have any of my co-hosts at all, I've gone through most all my notes. We will save going into the overview of the Tibetan Book of the Dead for another time, but I would like to read a little bit of it for you, of the overview. So the first bardo is to help a dying person recognize and merge with the clear light of reality as the body dies. And it's the bardo of the moments of death. And you read the opening invocation and you call the person by name. You are saying their name repeatedly as you're reading. You are addressing the person as you are reading through it. The instructions are to remain calm and to recognize the brilliant clear light that dawns immediately after the last breath. And the guidance is to rest in awareness and not become attached to visions or fears. So on the first one of these things is not like the other. I have to pull it up. I thought I had it pulled up. I would like to read you the first invocation because it is absolutely gorgeous, beautifully written, and to envision it being read to somebody as they are passing is just Where? I don't have it pulled up, Whitney. Recent. Okay, I don't have it pulled up. It's just more proof or reaffirming the Tibetan Book of the Dead will be done a different day, guys. When I have all this stuff pulled together. Yep. But the overall practice flow is you are sitting at the bedside, and it is called the setting face to face, and you are reading and introducing the clear light to the person who is passing. You sit next to him, and you have this setting face to face with the person as you are addressing them and reading to them. And then immediately after death, you continue reciting the passages, reminding the soul, reminding that consciousness to recognize the light, to see it, to, as they are going through the illusions that are coming to them, whether it's good or it's bad, if it feels overwhelming, whether they are resisting it and they want to turn away from it and go towards something darker instead of going towards the light, then they are holding on to the physical body. And in the book, that says that you will just experience more and more suffering. You will endure the suffering longer. So that's why it's so important to sit next to these people and guide their consciousness and go through these rituals. Daily, you are reading the daily readings from 1 to 49. Each day, you have a guru, a religious leader, a loved one reading a section that corresponds to that day and that experience. And each day has a different deity, a different color, a different illusion, if you will, that you are experiencing. And then you have your closing prayers. It's a dedication of merit and wishes for liberation or an auspicious rebirth. So only that consciousness would know what the quality of life that they had was. So whether they lived a very good life where they were doing all the Jesus things, then they should be reaching that clear light and liberation very quickly. It should be almost instantaneous, if you will, or within the first 7 days. If they go longer than 7 days, then it's thought or believed that they lived a life that was not pure. So they will endure suffering longer. And the daily readings, the dedication at the end is just encouraging them and wishing the best, whether they are continuing to suffer or if they are already in the process of being rebirthed. But throughout all the sections, it repeats, "O nobly born, now the time hath come for thee to know thyself. Abide in the awareness of the clear light, the natural state of mind. Fear not the sounds, the lights and rays. They are thine own projections. They are your own projections. You are creating these illusions." That's the heart of the entire Book of the Dead, to remind the soul of its own radiant awareness so that it can awaken rather than wander lost. But yeah, so that's my little overview of the Tibetan Book of Death. We will go into it further when Brayden has finished reading it, and we will restructure it so we could just come to you with all the stuff instead of bouncing around.
Before we break, would you like to go through some of the comments?
Yeah, because I don't see any of the comments.
You're good, I got you. Alright, sorry everybody, I'm late.
Late as fuck. Excuse me.
Work ran a little bit long. Camilla says, "I found my mom when I was 17 and tried to do CPR and couldn't get her mouth open. That hit me in the feels. I love you, friend. It definitely is rough." That is very rough. I'm sorry to hear that, Camilla. We had a friend who passed, and we both took turns trying to do CPR in hopes that he might be resuscitated, but he was too far gone by the time we got there.
That experience was something in its own. That was a real, like, hands-on tangle with death. I'm hesitating because I feel like I shouldn't be speaking about it, but I'm going to speak about it because it's my own truth and it's my own experience. And I think one of you guys watching might care somewhat. When I walked in and I saw my friend laying on his bed, I thought and believed that he had already passed. It was done. It was over. And his wife was not. She was hysterical. She was yelling and calling for other people to help. So we offered to do CPR. And doing CPR on somebody that you know is not there, and I don't know. That was a wild experience. That was a very humbling experience, knowing that I'm going to continue doing this until my arms are sore. I'm going to keep doing this to my friend for her, knowing that it'll make her feel better to see somebody attempting to bring him back that would bring her solace, and then somebody like an EMT can show up and let her know that this is what happened and we're calling it. And I feel like an EMT would bring her more peace, telling her that her husband is gone rather than
people across the street.
Yeah.
I feel like in doing that, knowing there was very little chance of any resuscitation actually taking place, And I'm sure somewhere in her heart she knew that too. But the effort being made, I feel, helps with the closure.
It felt more important to do that for her than it did. I feel like that's what he would have wanted. I think he would have been, hey, make her feel better. Yeah, it was a wild experience. I feel you, Camilla. Not I'm my mother. I've never experienced that, but that would probably be the closest I've come to. No. No, I haven't felt someone that close to me passing. I still will stand by it. I haven't had that experience yet. So I don't know what it feels like. But the things I imagine are rough.
On to Monica. Detachment. The opening of the crown chakra is to let go of all that we are attached to. And I've always loved the quote, "Death asked life one day, why people love you and hate me?" And life said, "Because you are seen as an ugly truth, and I am a truly beautiful lie."
Ooh.
That is beautiful. Thank you, Monica. I appreciate
An
that.
ugly truth and a beautiful lie. Woof.
Absolutely.
That feels like it was a compliment to healthy people think about how they want to die, and sick people think about how they want to live. That feels like that complements that a lot.
Yeah. Everybody feels like they'll live forever until they realize they won't. It's a very harrowing experience.
It's very humbling.
Realizing that this too shall pass can take a darker meaning. That's why we have to break the stereotype, because we all cry. Absolutely, Lee. I have always stood by the fact that real men show emotions, not just anger, but fear. I've absolutely been afraid in my life. Sadness, love, joy. Having a stone face is, growing up, I did not believe that. Growing up, I was raised to never show emotion. I was raised to keep a strong, stony exterior and be the strong, silent type, which is also why I speak so softly. I was raised to speak softly but carry a big stick. But through trial and error and through my own growth, I firmly believe that more people should push to end that stereotype. It's a dead man that does not feel emotions. And it's a stupid one that doesn't show it. Life is short. And having the ability to tell people that you love them, tell people that they're important to you, tell people that they need to go fuck themselves.
It takes a brave
all of the emotions.
person to show such raw emotions.
And to be vulnerable in any situation can be scary. It can be intimidating because you're not sure how people will think or act or judge. But once you truly know yourself, you don't worry about that anymore. Because you're comfortable knowing who you are. It doesn't matter what other people think about it.
Part of living in authenticity.
Yeah, I bawled when Dan died. He was like another father to me. Loved that man deeply. He was a great man. It was my ex-wife's father, but he and I were very close. And when he passed, I was a wreck. I was a total mess over that one, which was crazy. Normally, it's just, especially at his age, it happens. I don't know, that one hit me hard. It's not like we didn't really see it coming. He had complications with surgery. He ended up in hospice. We had time to grieve, and grieve I did. But yeah, definitely.
That was one moment where I got to sit with somebody who was dying. I didn't know him that well, but I was there to witness his body changing as it went through the process of he was sick and healing, he was okay, and then his body was shutting down. And that has, I feel like parents usually try to keep children from seeing stuff like that because it can be traumatizing. But it goes from childhood even further and further and further, and we avoid death so much that it just, we're shocked. It's there, and now you have to deal with it, and it's not TV.
I don't know. Sheltering people away from truth has never really been my style. Even as a parent, I mean, there are some things that you absolutely don't tell kids, but things like death, I mean, if you don't learn about it when you're young and you're never confronted with the truth that people die, then you also never learn about the grieving process. You never learn how to process those emotions. You never get the tools required to have those emotions in a healthy way. And I feel like that's wrong. It's cheating as a parent. It's avoidance. And having those hard conversations is something I'm a big fan of, because if not us, then who?
If we're not talking about it, then it's just more ammo that can be used for fear. If we're talking about the scary things, the difficult things, the ugly things, then it gives you a little bit more freedom. So when you do encounter one of those things, you don't feel so terrified. You've already thought of a way that you could process the situation, how you could work through it. It gives you freedom.
And a sense of calm in a chaotic position. I mean, death can come at you fast, and it can be something unexpected, something that nobody saw coming. I ride a motorcycle year round. It could happen any day. But knowing that, I've talked to my kids about things like, the possibility of death in an accident, how to ride safe, how to be safe, how to contact authorities, what to do if there is a crash. And having those lessons in the back of their mind will hopefully, if the worst should occur and somebody should get into a wreck, whether it be me or somebody else, they'll have that knowledge to fall back on, and they'll have the answer to the "oh my God, what now?" question that's going to hit them as soon as the chaos erupts. They'll have hopefully the calmness and the state of mind to be able to say, "Hey, you call an ambulance, and you get something to put pressure on the wound," and they can start CPR, and they can do all the things necessary to hopefully help save somebody, instead of panicking, because they were never taught about it, and nobody ever talked to them about what to do in case of an emergency.
That's why we have fire drills.
Mm-hmm.
My father works at the jail, and he has worked at the jail for as long as I can remember. And I remember having all these weird, awkward conversations. They were so awkward. But it makes sense. I mean, we have fire drills at school, but we would have conversations of what happens if we get split up in a public place. What do you do? Where do you go? Who do you talk to?
Who do you not talk to?
Oh my gosh, what do you mean if I get separated in a public place? That's terrifying. What do you mean? What if I'm in Walmart? What if I'm in, like, I don't know, a theme park? Like, it's different for everywhere, isn't it? No. If we get separated, it's still going to be the same thing. You need to stay calm. And then you scan and you walk through the process. If he encountered somebody that was from jail and they were not a good person, and it's not somebody he wants to introduce us to, this is the code word. This is how it would go. This is what it would look like. If somebody tries to attack you, and walk me through all these awkward situations. And they were real weird. Some of them we acted out, like a fire in the house, or other thing, like self-defense stuff, but having those really, really weird, awkward conversations, like, it really prepared me for high stress situations. I feel a lot more confident in myself. So as we close tonight, I want to remind you that thinking about death isn't just morbid. It's freeing. It's liberation. When we face the truth of our impermanence, we are not here forever. Oh, which brought me to another thought. Like, bunny trail. Like, you know, when kids play peekaboo, they have no concept of object permanence. So you are in their mind, like, physically disappearing and then reappearing.
Wild.
I forget where that went into. Oh, something you were saying. Anyways, moving forward, I'll rewatch this and I'll throw it in the comments. I lost my train of thought. As we face our impermanence, we start to see what really matters. So maybe the lesson of death isn't about endings at all. Maybe it's about presence, being present in your living life, and then showing presence for when people are dying. Living fully, loving deeply, and letting go of what doesn't move with us into the next moment. So thank you for sharing this awkward space with me as I struggle bust through. I have a co-host. I don't have a co-host. I have a co-host. Look, he showed up.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late.
We will address this in another time. I'll have to get together with Brayden, and it'll probably be next week.
Please remember this Saturday at the Unity Church, right?
Unity Church off Central.
Yes, we will be there in person. We will have a booth. We will be attending. And,
my kids will be there. Come check it out. Come support your local
artists and
business owner, guys. Yes. Those of you in Billings, share the event link if you can. Some of you have like so many more friends than I do. Yeah. Super excited. Second vendor show.
It's going to be awesome.
I will be giving away free little goodie bags. What is
the name of it? The Magic Mystical? No, that doesn't sound right. The name of the event.
I don't know. You have a phone. You could. I have a computer.
Hold on 1 second. I will find it.
You asked me the name. I can't think of it at all. Not a single part of the name.
That's okay. It is
Magic Metaphysical Expo. The Magic Metaphysical Expo.
There we go.
Either way, yes. I shared it in the group, guys. Share the link. Help a girl out.
Come see us. Have some fun. Get a grab bag.
3 days. 3 more days. It's this Saturday. This Saturday in Billings, Montana. All you Billings people, come hang out. Come hang out. Come see me and Brayden, and come rate some of the rest of the community that, I don't know, we run in.
Yes.
You will see April there. April was on the lives. Come see her in person.
Expand your horizons. Maybe keep an open mind. Try something new. Get a palm reading. It's going to be a great time. There will be local vendors and some travelers as well, I believe. And it should be a pretty good event. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. Ureli, Stephanie, Lee.
Lee probably won't be there.
Bryson was there.
Bryson.
Look at her face.
Yeah, so thanks for being here for the tender conversation about death. That's a tough conversation to have. So thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking through. And may you walk a little softer, a little braver, and a little more awake. You guys have a good rest of your Wednesday evening, and I hope to see you Saturday.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Ugh, you gotta long arm it.